I thought it was good that the commission finally put the taxpayers on the selection process for the city manager. I thought that was something that was missing last time, and I'm not going to say that's probably one of the reasons why we spent a lot of money on one individual and didn't work out very well. I just thought it was a good idea to have them, citizens participate in the process. One thing I'd like to get firmed up is the dates. I know you were talking about dates for all these things for the selection process for the city manager. So
There'll be a press release out tomorrow, and it's November 13th.
November 13th, that'll be when the citizens can come and talk to the individuals?
There'll be a session at 3 and a session at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
But it'll all be in a press release tomorrow.
Okay, good. The agenda tonight has the thing about the wireless fines for using the wireless phone, but it actually didn't say what the first offense would be. It said up to $500 plus court fees, and I think you're going to change it tonight to where you're kind of like what Fort Riley has, where you just pay the fine without going to court. Are you going to talk about that tonight, is about what the cost of the first fine is? You know, first ticket, it doesn't say it I read the whole thing, and it doesn't say anything about it. It just says up to. I think everybody should know what the first, I think it's $100 on Fort Riley. I don't know what it'd be here.
Well, she can
That's
address
an
that.
agenda item,
She
so.
can address that.
Yeah,
It's on the agenda.
Yeah, but it's not in there. It's not, I just thought you might want
Just
to
the
talk about it.
misdemeanor to an infraction was what we're going to talk about. I don't think it was anything about the specific fees. For fines.
And this last comment, just to make it quick, I think this one's from Mr. Landis. Is the taxpayer community hospital prepared for any type of infectious disease out? You don't hear much about what's going on in the community, but are we prepared for something that might happen? Because we have a pretty diverse community, and I was thinking about that a
We have an
couple.
infection control coordinator that is
Oh,
working through
you
those
guys
processes.
are pretty much got it squared away. The protocols are all good to get put together and everything.
I will
We're
be
not gonna-
inquiring because I've been reading up on that stuff myself, so
Yeah, I think we need to
I did some
ensure the
CME
citizens that we got our stuff together here.
CME session on that yesterday specifically, so
So you're going to put something out on that, maybe?
I will check in and see what they're doing.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
And there were no other names on the comment list, so the next item is the consent agenda.
Cheryl, I had a question on page 9.
Okay.
There's an item on watch repair towards the top of the page. Vernon Jewelers. Somebody's watch get damaged from the job or something, or
Let me look what department.
if you know.
First of all, administration, the only, page 9.
Towards the top.
On my page 9, it says the Printery Card Center and Sam's Club.
Yep. Vernon Jewelers watch.
Oh, they purchase retirement watches through Vernon's Jewelry.
Got it. Thank you.
That's what it is. They evidently purchased a retirement watch.
Got it. Thanks.
I move to approve the consent agenda be approved as submitted.
Second.
So a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion?
Now here.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, 5-0. The next item on the agenda will be consideration of G 1161 amendment to section 302-055.
Good evening, Mayor, Mr. Commissioners, sorry. Krista Blaisdell, City Prosecutor. It's been a while since I stood up here. My apologies. Before you tonight is an amendment to section 302-055, listening or talking on wireless communication devices while driving. One of the issues we've had since passing our ordinance is that we've previously classified it as an unclassified misdemeanor, which requires by state a court appearance for drivers who are cited under this. This has increased our court load exponentially, also creating problems for drivers who are passing through town that may reside out of state Given that we have a limited number of court days a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, it doesn't make it necessarily convenient or appropriate for them to come in to handle this misdemeanor situation. After discussions with the chief of police, the judge, the court, myself, we believe that it's probably in the city's best interest to handle this as an infraction, basically the equivalent to like a speeding ticket. Basically, the STO book that you publish, most of the driving violations are considered infractions, which would allow the court to set a fine, what I would call a standard fine. So your typical case of just seeing somebody driving down the road on their phone, the officers would be authorized to issue X amount of fine plus court costs, and then that driver would be able to just pay that ticket, either one in person or via our online system or mail in, which would make it a more efficient process throughout the thing. Because this is a local ordinance anyway, I don't think that it necessarily is going to make a big change as far as deterrence value. The cost, you'd be looking at the same if they came in and were found guilty of it under the misdemeanor. I think we just make our system a little more efficient because our cell phone ordinance is unique in that us and Manhattan are the only cities in the state that have the cell phone ordinance. Texting while driving is a statewide law. You can't text and drive. But as far as actually talking on your cell phone, I believe us and Manhattan are the only two cities in the state of Kansas that have that.
Lawrence had it too.
If they do, I was unaware of
I
Lawrence.
was looking at it as well.
There are
It's-
several
think
looking
it's-
at it. There's several looking at it.
It's up and coming, but as far as it being a state law, it's a local law, if that makes sense. So like, if somebody gets a leaving the scene of an accident ticket here, that gets reported on their driving record because that's a state law. This is a city ordinance, well, right now it's a misdemeanor, so it'd be reported on their criminal history as a misdemeanor conviction. So I would say the equivalent of like a disorderly conduct is kind of how it's looked at. So based on that, it's my recommendation, as well as the recommendation of the other parties that were involved in the discussions, that to ask this commission to amend it down to an infraction. I can tell you, typically what the court has imposed has been a $50 fine and $126 in court costs. That's been on a typical case. When you change it to an infraction, we change it from a misdemeanor we change it from the criminal code to the traffic code, so we would change our court cost to $116. I know Manhattan's standard fine over there is $60 plus their court costs, which I believe their court costs are a little bit lower than ours. I want to say they're in the $90 range for court costs, but that's, again, court costs are already preset and determined. That's not something that we're asking to change or look at here. But so the fine would be in that area, and when making an infraction, you basically give the judge the authority to set that fine to pass along to officers. I know that was a lot of information, sorry.
Ms. Blaisdell, will we go back for some of the cases to change those?
What I have been doing, because I was, hopefully anticipating a positive vote by the commission tonight, is that basically anybody who's been previously given this misdemeanor ticket, the city has a diversion policy, and I'm not sure how many of the commission are familiar with. A diversion is basically a way to keep a ticket off of your record for a period of time. I have kind of what I call standard diversion fees. I've cut that fee in half because I'm anticipating that we're going to change it to an infraction policy versus a misdemeanor to give those people the opportunity to keep misdemeanors off their records, because, I mean, there's a lot of people that have gotten cell phone tickets, unfortunately. Fortunately for our enforcement, but unfortunately for, having a conviction for a misdemeanor, because any of those people, if they were filling out job applications or college applications, if they put, have you been convicted of a misdemeanor, they would have to put yes to a cell phone ordinance, which I just don't know if that's necessarily appropriate at this point. So I've basically been working somewhat on doing a diversion policy with them so that they would be able to, it still costs, they still pay a little more than what a standard guilty plea would be to it. But I've been trying to work with them in anticipation that we could get this modified and kind of make it the best for everybody.
And with the modification, we'll send them a letter and say that misdemeanor's been removed?
Well, no, for the people that have already been cited, it has to continue under the misdemeanor. Like that's the ordinance that they've been under.
No diversion?
No, they can do diversions.
Okay.
Yeah. At the end of the diversion time, the case is dismissed, so there's no conviction. That's how diversion works. Basically, you pay the money, you sign the diversion contract, you stay out of trouble for a period of time. In these traffic tickets, it's 3 months. At the end of the diversion period, the case is dismissed. So there's no conviction reported on any kind of record as far as anything goes. That's how a diversion program works. Could they still do it with the infraction? Yeah. If they wanted absolutely nothing on their record, then they would be eligible to do it for that. But it would go back to my standard diversion costs.
Okay.
And leaving the fines in the judges, then somebody who is a repeat offender, who just doesn't get off the cell phone, then he can increase the fine up to the $500.
We had discussions about setting this kind of like the animal ordinance. There's the dog at large where first, second, third, fourth offense, those kind of things. The problem with this is it's really hard to track. An officer on a traffic stop isn't going to be able to pull up somebody's driving record right there and be like, oh, unless they have personal knowledge that this person's had a prior conviction, to be able for them to enhance on the scene wasn't likely or wasn't really even realistic. And then if you don't know if they have a prior, you can't make that determination whether it's mandatory court and they need to come to court for me to enhance to a second, third, or fourth offense. And so it would become a cluster if you had to try to work on a scale thing. We leave it open to 500. If somebody's involved in an accident, and I'm not talking serious injury accident, but say you're talking on your phone and you have a fender bender, then I think allowing that fine to be open, it's not the officer that sets that, but he can make it mandatory court. He can say, you know what, I feel that the circumstances in this case make this too egregious to just do a standard fine. I'm going to write on your ticket mandatory court, and then he can send me that report, and then I have that ability to review the case and go forward from that point. That's why there's no base fine or set scale with that. And that's why it kind of has a maximum that caps us.
Sounds good. Thank you.
A quick question. Chief, how many signs are there around town about the ordinance?
Every entry.
They're all around the boundaries of the city, sir. Greg, I don't know how many.
26.
26 signs? Okay,
All
thank you.
around the city limits that are posted all around the
Had
city. limits.
someone fussing at me the other day that there's no signs anywhere. So I don't
Yeah,
think so.
there is.
Yeah.
Quite a few, so.
Every entry.
All right.
And actually, that's
I've
what
seen 'em.
took us so long to
Right.
make sure the fines were in place, the signs were in place before we even went into the warning phase, which was 4 weeks long and stuff. So there's signage out there.
Right,
All along the boundaries of the city.
okay. I wonder if we need some more internally in the city instead of just on the boundaries, maybe.
Yeah.
It might,
I think that would
it
be
might be a thought.
up to Ms. There's a cost associated.
Right.
Those things aren't cheap.
Understood. Or she's gonna get us some revenue for that, though. Thank you.
Any further questions?
So basically, doesn't really matter how many times you get a cell phone infraction, it's going to be the standard 50 and 126.
And and
If
again,
it's
that's going
just
to
a
change
normal-
a little bit because it'll be 116 in court costs, and it'll be up to the judge to kind of set that. So if he feels that a $60 fine and 116 court cost is more appropriate, then if he wants to balance it that way as to what the prior case, kind of the prior precedent of the 50, 126, that's going to be somewhat his discretion
Okay.
with that.
But you wouldn't know how many times somebody had an infraction.
If
so
you make it the ticket where they can just be ticketed and released, then no, because those people can it's the ease of being able to pay those tickets and move on. So yes, it's hard to deter repeat offenders short of just $176 every time you decide to talk on that phone, which frankly would deter me, but
Yeah.
I'm not the average.
Yeah.
You don't have a way of looking that up prior to court?
I do.
Okay,
I
you're
do.
talking about
I have the
office.
court. I mean, we have our court computer system. We have Encode, which tracks every person that violates and their history as far as how many tickets they've been given in the city. The problem is the officers
Right,
don't
the
have
officers
that.
don't, but you have that ability.
Right, that's
to
correct.
pass that information on to the judge.
Right.
I think.
And that's why we want it left flexible.
Okay. Right, okay, yeah. That, to me, that's what you were getting. at,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good.
There is, but if they're just cited at the scene and they go in and pay it,
Right,
I
then
don't
it-
have any
then
way
that
of
time's
catching it
done.
ahead of time. Exactly.
Yeah, that time's done. However, if you know somebody that is a
Right.
repeat, then it can be sent.
Right.
to
Or
court.
if an officer has, is familiar that this person's been cited 3 times for talking on their phone, and then he or she has the discretion of writing mandatory court on the ticket instead of issuing the fine.
Okay.
And Chris would be the first one to say it's kind of, there's been some long lines down in the court for the last few weeks after that first couple weeks of enforcement. So again, this is a time issue also with staff And so, and we just felt taking it away as being a misdemeanor was probably the best thing to do, make it an infraction, so.
No, good idea. Good.
Any further questions?
Let's see.
I move to approve G1161, amending section 302.5055, listening or talking on wireless communication devices while driving.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion?
None here.
Do a roll call vote? Commissioner Landis?
Yes.
Commissioner Maska?
Yes.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes.
Commissioner McAllister?
Yes.
Commissioner Sands?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next order of business will be consideration and approval of a cellular agreement for T-Mobile on our Spruce Water Tower.
Yes, Mayor and City Commission, what you have before you is a request to enter into a cellular agreement for telecommunications equipment. This is essentially modification of existing equipment that T-Mobile already has out at this facility. This particular company, they entered into an agreement back in 1999 with the city. And what we've tried to do when these cellular companies come into the city is to get them all on the same par as far as with the same type of agreement, be it as far as on the limiting the amount of equipment that they're able to put on the tower, limiting as far as the time frame, trying to standardize as far as the rate that we charge these particular companies for the use of their cellular equipment on our facilities. There's also some operation and maintenance items related to that. And what we did is we worked with Mrs. Beatty on the finance end initially, also as far as the city attorney on the legal aspect, on really trying to standardize this agreement amongst the cell providers that we have. We've got 7 cellular companies that have use of the 2 towers within the city. One of them is located over on Ash. There are a couple law enforcement agencies that have a facility over on the Ash Street, as well as Gary Community Hospital has a facility over there. Most of them are situated, though, on the Spruce Tower. This particular agreement, the old agreement used to have 3-year periods. The new standard agreement is 5-year periods, and they're renewable as far as in a 5-year set. This agreement that you have before you would expire in 2015, February of 2015. The current rate, as far as rental rate, even since they've been involved in this agreement since 1999, is about $730 a month. The new rate would be $1,500 a month, and that's a standard rate that we charge as far as others that would come into the community. We did a survey of what other communities throughout the immediate vicinity of Junction City in Kansas were charging. We found indeed that's really the going rate. The other item that was rather unique in this agreement when it was entered into is each 3-year period only allowed for a 3% increase as far as on the contract, where our new agreement provides for a 15% increase. So after 5 years, the rate would increase by 15%, and you would carry on for an additional 5 years. What they're looking to do with this new equipment is they're looking to provide a new cabinet up along Spruce Street. There are several of them right now. They're also looking to put as far as a new power cable along their raceway there that goes to the tower and wrap around as far as the railing area. When they initially came into us, what we tried to do again was seize the opportunity to get them to enter into a standard agreement, which they've agreed as far as to do. And so you've got a copy of that new agreement as far as in your packet. I'll try to answer any questions you may have as far as on that, as far as this evening. So we're looking for the commission's as far as approval to have the city enter into this agreement this evening.
Greg, at what time do we run out of room? It seems like those towers are getting pretty crowded, it looks that way, but maybe that's not.
Right. There's still, believe it or not, there's still room up on that tower. One of the items that we do require them to provide is a structural analysis sealed by a licensed professional engineer. So we make sure that indeed we're not dealing with a loading issue. the amount of equipment that they're looking to provide in this sense is really an additional cable around the railing area, so it's very minimal. There still is a lot of, I want to say, room around that tank area that you could have potentially other cell companies come in, and I'm going to refer to them as rods, because actually the next one that we're going to be talking about, that's what they're looking to situate on there, is 6 new additional rods. And these rods they're looking to put on the tower are roughly about 1.5 inches in diameter and about 4 foot in length. They're alloyed as far as metal. They're very lightweight, but again, they are going to be taking room around that tower as far as per se. But there's, even by putting those up there and the current, we've got, in addition to these 2, we've got 3 other companies that are up on that tower. So there's not a lot of room. There's still room as far as though for companies to drop in there.
Mayor, that's one of the reasons we asked for them to use our standardized agreement, is because we have the power to limit what they put up there. The one of the 2 agreements here, I don't remember which one it was, had unlimited use of the tower without our control.
Actually, I should have noted that both of these had that. And that was really critical in this, I should note, as well as in the new agreement. There's obviously many provisions. One of the provisions we have in there is to allow the city the right to approve and refuse as far as equipment to go up onto the tower or even into the tower site. Because right now, if you go by there, it's rather cluttered with their equipment. If you recall back when HDR Engineering presented the water system improvements in the Phase 2 program, there is a plan to eventually modify that, I want to call it the pump house that's over at the Spruce Street station. Believe it or not, there's quite a bit of equipment that is inside that building. Probably half of that building is used up by cell companies because they have an existing ongoing agreement. The long-term intent is to take all of this cellular equipment, put it over into a, I want to call it a sort of a pillbox type setup that would be on the north end of the site, move it away from, call it the water tanks proper as far as in that area, because we do got 2 ground storage tanks, and then retrofit that pump house station where it would be likely probably a prefabricated type building similar to like a mobile home, like a fifth wheel. Basically drop that on the site, and that's the way they're building these stations today. But the existing agreement basically allowed them to have carte blanche to put whatever they wanted to as far as on that tower, as well as not be required to run that additional equipment by the city for review and approval. They basically had an open-ended agreement, I guess I want to think of it. And this now just really tightens that up.
Good.
Lathrop Grange is the one who actually drafted this agreement. We used it in Eudora, and so this has been vetted completely by our city attorney as well. They were the original drafters of the agreement.
That's correct.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
Any further questions?
I move to approve the lease agreement between T-Mobile LLC for lease space on the Spruce Street Water Tower and site as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agreement. Is there any further discussion?
None here.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, 5-0.
Thank you.
Next would be consideration of approval of cellular agreement with Sprint, AKA Southwest PCS, on the Spruce Street Water Tower.
Yes, Mayor and City Commission. This group is really a subsidiary of Sprint Communications. And this agreement likewise is one that was developed back in 1999. However, this one had 5-year increments. They're currently still in, I believe, as far as the 4th of a total of 5 as far as incremental years. They likewise had a provision in their existing agreement that allowed them to have unlimited antennas as far as on the Spruce Street tower. Also, as far as the incremental increase in these 5-year periods, theirs was set at a 10%. Again, we're trying to standardize that and make sure indeed it's set at, after 5 years, the rate would, rental rate would go up by 15%. The new equipment that they're looking to install is essentially 6 new rods. They currently have 6 rods as far as up there. What they're basically doing is looking at doubling those and adding some additional equipment inside their already existing building. What's unique about this one, though, is if they were to continue with their agreement, it wouldn't expire until 2016. So what we did is their attorney was a little reluctant to even enter into this initially, but we were able to work with them in ramping, we're going to say ramp their rental rate up so that after the expiration of their current period, which will be in December of 2016, their new rental rate will go up to $1,500 a month. Currently, they're paying about $865 a month. So by entering into this, we'll move their rental rate up to roughly around $1,300 a month for this coming year, 2015. They'll carry that for 1 year. Then in 2016, it will ramp up to the $1,500 a month. So, and likewise, it has the same kind of provisions. The agreement is almost identical, other than we're just switching names as far as between the companies here as you see these agreements. And again, their equipment is all situated as far as at the Spruce Street Tower.
Okay. I move to approve the cellular agreement, Sprint Spruce Water Tower.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the agreement. Is there any further discussion?
None here?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it 5-0.
Thank you.
That brings us to commissioner comments.
That's one of the quick ones.
Commissioner Landis.
Couple things. Mr. Stewart, I will be checking on that Ebola preparedness at the hospital tomorrow. And also, I really do think we need to consider looking at some more cell phone usage signs around town instead of just on the banners. You know, the major arteries, Washington, 6th Street, McFarland, Ash, Chestnut probably. And lastly, I'd like to welcome B&B Movie Theater, which will be having their grand opening tomorrow night. It looks like it's going to be an amazing facility, really the best in the area, probably one of the best I've ever seen. So we're very excited about that. We had some discussions with them 3.5 years ago to nudge them to do something over there, and it's really kind of fun to see that happen. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Aska.
I trust everybody went out and voted today.
Yes.
Be part of the process, and that way, when you complain, you have something legitimately to complain about that when you're out there and voting. So I hope that everybody did get out, or many people as possible went out and voted today. I too am happy about the movie theater. I think that'll be another plus to our community. Slowly, good things are happening in Junction City.
Of
It just
course.
takes time, but we'll just keep moving and plugging along in a positive manner. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Aska. Commissioner McAllister.
I met with the Chamber Board of Directors yesterday, and we had some of the discussions focused around things that are going well in our community, and job increases. The numbers are continually coming in. Things are looking better for the community all the time. We did have brief discussions on, they do have resumes in for the openings for the CEO or president. However, it's kind of put on hold a little bit because there's a lot of jobs that are being looked at, are being hired right now, not only in that arena, but the city manager as well. So that may take a pause. It may slow down a little bit. But I would still like to get together with you, Mr. Mayor, and Ms. Beatty to discuss some of the agreement, the EDC agreement. We just need to make sure everybody's on the same page. We're moving forward in the same direction. So at some time within the next week or so, I'd like to come in and talk to you a little bit. Again, I hope everybody got the chance to vote. I've been voting for an awful long time here, and I've never seen the lines quite as long as they were. So that's awful encouraging to see folks getting out, voting, doing their duty, and I appreciate those folks that did. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sands.
Oh, thank you. It is leaf collection time. The city's done their part to make sure that leaves have a place to go. Contact Public Works or look in the paper, but maybe they'll discuss where they're at. But there are collection points around the city. Bring your leaves there. Don't throw them in the street, and don't put them in the drainage system. You will only pay for it later. Veterans Day is coming up. 11/11/11 celebrations are going on. I know Sunflower Bank has a V-Day celebration, a Veterans Day, not Victory Day. I believe theirs is the 10th, and then the community celebration will be at C.L. Hoover Opera House. They do a great job there. I'll be out of town at another veterans celebration. I know I'm a veteran, but I got to continue to move, and doing some coordination in another community for other veterans. I want to talk about network your community. There's so many great opportunities here in this community. It seems like sometimes I'm a network guy, but I just like knowing where things are at. What I recommend you do, though, if you have a business, get out and network. That's why we have the business after hours. Just go into a business, come to a coffee, go somewhere, come to the Optimist breakfast every Wednesday morning at 6:30. Get your breakfast for $3 at the Hampton Inn and become optimist for the rest of the day. Be optimistic. It's a great place to be, and we have a great briefing tomorrow. Come by and visit with us. And I'm glad to see the campaign ads are over. I'm tired of hearing so much negativity. I don't think I'll ever go above city commission because I don't like talking bad about people and then having to work around them later. I believe that an American is an American. I don't know what a Republican looks like if I don't see him, and I don't know what a Democrat looks like. I don't know what an independent looks like. But, you know, we should be able to work our political differences out and not have to worry about, well, I'm this party here. What's that mean? So if somebody wants to come by and tell me someday, I probably won't listen. I'm just happy being an American and knowing that I am an American, not a particular party. I vote for what's right. So hopefully everyone got out and voted. Don't forget about the Christmas parade. It's the day after Thanksgiving. The park's going to be better lit than before. I don't know that as a fact. I know it to be for sure. It's going to be better than it was before. We have
every year.
One of the greatest parades. People from Colorado came out here from Denver a couple of years ago, and they had never seen a parade like ours. And they're from the big city. So anyway, thank you, everyone, for listening. Great short meeting, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. The B&B movie theater has me excited. And I definitely hope everybody got out to vote. And I can echo Commissioner Sands. I'm going to be very glad to have all those political ads off the news. That's really all I had. Mrs. Beatty?
I asked the city commissioners turn in their interview question sheet to me, and then we'll give them to Marla. She'll compile and have your interview questions prepped and ready for you for the interviews of the manager position. And I will send out a finalized schedule with you tomorrow. Let's see what else. I need to know who is, I need 2 commissioners for each candidate to go to lunch. So on the 13th, who is available to go to lunch with the candidates? I've got
I will be available.
Yeah,
Mayor.
I think my calendar's open.
Ryan, Cecil,
You can
That's
use me,
2.
Ralph. I'm always doing.
Jim, Mick, are you available? Mick, okay. I will get you assigned to, and I will let you know who is assigned to what restaurant. This time, we're just going to have you meet right at the restaurant because we have it all set up on a pretty tight schedule. And we'll make sure the candidate gets to you at the right place at the right time and have it all prearranged for you and ready to just rock and roll. The schedule, as I said, as soon as I got this, I was going to be able to send out the schedule to you, each of you, so you'll know what is what. And the press release will go out tomorrow as well. So we're ready to go. And other than that, I didn't have anything else tonight to share.
Mrs. Logan, did you have anything?
I do not.
Thank you. Mr. Ficken? Chief?
Mayor, I just wanted to reference to John's question about the Ebola issue, and Pat probably wouldn't have known about this, but emergency services along with Gary Community Hospital are going to be involved in a tabletop exercise November 19th at 1:30, Chief. Am I correct? Reference to an Ebola response. So just want to make sure that Pat probably wouldn't have been. It just came out late last week, if I'm not mistaken, did it not? So we will be participating in that. We also have a tabletop exercise coming up with Cloud County Community College for an active shooter scenario also coming up here soon. I think it's the 24th at Cloud County Community College. So, and I knew Pat probably wouldn't know that, but I just want to make sure you guys were aware of that. Okay? And the fire department, and I can't speak for Chief, but I know that they're ready for this situation also with their prepping for it if anything like that should come up. So,
Thank you, Chief. Chief, do you have anything?
No, I'll just echo what Chief Brown said. We have adopted a standard protocol based off Omaha Fire Department, who's dealt with 2 known cases, and also Dallas Fire Department, which has dealt with 3 unknown cases at that time. So I'm very confident in our people are following a strict protocol and regimen on any possible infectious disease.
Chief, will I be able to drive that new fire truck of yours pretty soon?
No.
Run him through the rigors. Run him through the rigors.
We did receive our fire grant apparatus last Friday
Yes.
morning. There'll be some training involved, and the schedule is approximately November 22nd of actually putting it into service, so about 3 weeks. Of some training involved for the firefighters. We will have a demonstration for the commissioners and for some of the area fire chiefs to demonstrate the capabilities of it, and I'll be sending you invites to that.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Commissioner, we won't let you drive it because that would be risky. I went to a risk management workshop last week, and it talked about avoidance of risk as being a top issue.
They're going to let me drive it. I would have some real concerns.
Yeah, it's called risk avoidance, and that's what they hammered with us, is to do risk avoidance.
They won't let me drive it either.
I'm not even going to ask them.
Greg?
I know that with a lot of our road work winding down this year, Public Works is continuing with a program we refer to as joint crack sealing. They will continue with that program for about the next 6 to 7 weeks, subject to the weather. They're right now on Grant Avenue, and we're going to be finishing that up this week and then moving over to, we call it the west side of town, or actually west of 77. There are several subdivisions will be in there over the next several weeks. But one item that I wanted the public to be aware of, and we will be getting information out to the public this week, is we're gearing up for our annual street maintenance open house. We've held this event the last 3 years. This year it will be held on November 18th from 4 to 7 p.m. down in the gymnasium here at City Hall. So right before the City Commission meeting, we're going to share with the public as far as the number of projects that the city is anticipating undertaking next year through our street maintenance program. But also there are several KDOT projects that are going to be undertaken by KDOT along 77 this coming year. Most notably, there will be a project referred to as a divergent diamond. I know it's new to this area. We'll have a little simulator that'll show how that particular interchange will work, but they're going to be looking at redoing the interchange at I-70 and 77. They also have a project referred to as the Rucker Road 77 project, where that project will involve a new signalized intersection and turning lanes up in that area, as well as there'll be another project that'll be going on simultaneously to this one, and that will be at K-18 and Spring Valley Road. So there'll be a lot of construction activity in Junction City this coming year, that being 2015. We do have a couple even smaller projects that we have grant monies that we'll be undertaking where we received monies from KDOT, and the year is up where we'll actually start receiving the money, which is in 2015, and so we're really excited about it. We're going to have several displays as far as boards out there, information as far as about different road treatments and alike, so that the public can maybe get better educated of what really is happening with our streets, why indeed do they fail, what are we trying to do to prevent failure as well as to continue maintenance. So I just wanted the public to be aware of that. Again, it's November 18th. It's going to be from 4 to 7. It's in the gymnasium. It is a very informal program. We will have engineering staff members there. We're going to try to see if indeed we can get a couple individuals from KDOT to come speak about as far as their projects and be at that program as well. But like I said, if you've got a few minutes, stop in, learn a little bit more as far as about the city street program.
Is not one of the grants the signalization of Franklin and Washington?
That actually won't begin until 2016.
That's
We
what I
do
wanted to-
have a Clink project. This is a 50-50 match. Excited about it that we are actually able to start getting involved in that program. The city, as you may be aware of, we are responsible for maintaining Washington Street. I know a lot of people are going to say, wait a minute, Washington Street is much better than, say, my street, which is in a residential neighborhood. The fortunate thing in doing Washington Street, we're going to be looking at milling and overlaying that basically from roughly Chestnut north to 6th Street, and then 6th Street from Washington over to Franklin. The cost of that project is going to be 50% shared by KDOT, and then we're going to basically just be picking up 50% of that cost. So we're seeing a significant savings on really doing that particular roadway. The other project that we're hoping to get underway is the starting of the first phase of the K-18 pathway going along K-18, basically from Rucker Road all the way to Spring Valley Road. KDOT will be doing a small segment over near K-18 and Spring Valley Road as part of the intersection improvements over near the middle school. We're hopefully going to be under design and under construction as far as in 2015 with our segment, that being the piece that's closer to Rucker Road and over near the Helen Park area. And then the following, as far as 2 years, you'll see as far as that bridge go in right there at K-18 and 77, and that will basically finish that pathway as well as the new bridge structure.
I brought that up because people ask me all the time about signaling that one and the one on Washington and Ash, but the other one doesn't qualify yet for signalization. But the Franklin and 6th Street does.
Right. Yeah, let me clarify that. And we'll have all these projects up on, and we're going to call it a KDOT board. You'll see the time frame of potential construction for these projects, be it 2015, 2016, or even we've got some projects that are out there 2017 and 2019. We know the funding is there. It's just when the dollars are going to come through. And
Yep.
as Mrs. Beatty had indicated, this intersection is for Franklin. It did qualify and met the warrants as far as for a signal several years ago. The city started the project actually 3-4 years ago in design, but the city, because of financial constraints, were not able to come up as far as with the local match to be able to make that project move forward. So what we've done is 2 years ago, we resurrected that project. It now is in the queue. And
Again.
And so we should have funding for that project in 2016. We still are trying to pursue looking at improving the intersection of Ash and Washington. We get a lot of calls on that. Why isn't it signalized? And it just doesn't meet the warrants for a traffic signal at this time. Maybe, I guess, if indeed there was some development that went in along Ash Street, it surely probably would push it over the edge. But right now, it's right on the edge of meeting a few of the warrants in order to justify, which are really criteria to justify putting in a signal. It just doesn't meet those right now. So we're going to continue to pursue that, as well as a few other locations in the community.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mrs. Blaisdell.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have one thing. This Saturday is the first annual Community Peace Walk for Principal Lorraine Walker at the Al Sempler Stadium. It starts at 8 o'clock and runs till 11. And it's in honor of Principal Lorraine Walker to come join family, friends, and neighbors as we walk in honor of a sister and friend. This will be a time to meet, greet, and enjoy the company of others as we bring our unity together to walk in harmony and peace.
Date and time, one more?
Saturday, this coming Saturday, November 8th, 0800 till 11.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lorraine was a friend of mine.
Yes.
Very nice lady. Katie said she didn't have anything.
I don't.
I make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good night, Katie.
Good night.